Women's cricket is on the rise. It's quite evident to me that women's cricket is on the rise. I've been to a couple of events here at Newlands at the museum that has promoted women's cricket. The Women's World Cup 2023 was going to be hosted in South Africa, and we're also going to have the Under 19 World Cup. Today I'm at another event, and today it's all about the S Under 19 capping. The S Under 19 women got an opportunity to be called out on stage and be given their caps for an amazing Under 19 World Cup event, which is going to take place very, very soon. So I'm really excited about this. We're looking forward to it. But before we get started, before we get going, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates. Download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And as you know, we are sitting right here and they're busy putting my banner up. We're going to be doing the daily show live from the Under 19 Women's World Cup capping as well as the WSL launch. It's 4.0 guys. We've been to every single one of them. We've covered every single WSL event. It's been excellent. I think the standard of cricket is really good and it's constantly improving. I looked around the room. There's Proteas players here. There's exceptional talent on display. The different teams, of course. I'm going to try to get as many players on the show with me today to talk to them because it's going to be excellent to try and get some insight into the women's game and where these ladies are in their games right now. Have they improved since the last time I've spoken to them? Let's see. We're not going to be 100% sure, but I'm going to try to get as many interviews as possible. I really want to speak to the Under 19 women's coach, Tanisha Devon. You know she's a friend of the channel, but I haven't chatted to her in a hell of a long time. Actually, I don't think I've interviewed her since she took over the actual role. So it's going to be very interesting to chat to her, as well as the captain of the Under 19 team, as well as the vice captain of the Under 19 team. I'm also going to try to get some other guys, some other players as well on the show. I'm going to try to get, for example, Dana Fenikek, who's making a comeback into the Proteas team. She's going to be also playing in the WSL. So I'm going to see who I can chat to at this particular event. I'm really excited to do this one. Let's see who we're going to chat to. And I'm going to try to give you the best information that we can give you and some of the best content that we can bring you. You know you have to come to Cricket Fanatics magazine for the best content in South African cricket. I have to admit that that's what we are doing here. We've been to every single event. We covered it as best as possible. Let's see what we can bring you guys today. We're also going to put up some TikTok videos as well with individual players, etc. So you guys can see and get to know the players a little bit better because that's also very important. But without further ado, let me get my first interview going. Let's chat to Tanisha Devon and see what she has to say about this particular event as well as the WSL. Clinton, welcome to the show. I don't think I brought you on the show quite yet. That's the Daily Show. Welcome to the Daily Show. How are you doing?
I'm quite fine. Yourself?
It's good to chat to you. So, Convenor of Selectors, there are two major things happening, or actually three major events happening now over the next couple of months. So, first of all, it's the WSL. We've got the Under 19 World Cup happening in South Africa, as well as the Women's World Cup happening in South Africa. So, it's a lot of cricket for women's cricket in South Africa, and particularly a lot of games are going to be happening at Newlands, your home ground too. So, first and foremost, let's just talk about the rise of women's cricket, how it's improved since you've taken over, etc., and what you've seen since you've been involved in women's cricket, which is you've been there for quite some time, seen a lot of women grow, come through the system, etc. So tell me a little bit about the rise of women's cricket.
I think the important thing is that when we started this process, we had a thought in our mind in 2014. We had a discussion with Edward Koza, Hilton Moring and myself, and Valbo Masubulele, who's now the manager of the Proteas. And we discussed and said, how best do we transition women's cricket in the country? And then we needed to restructure the provincial setup. We needed to identify strategic bilaterals. Mm-hmm. We also needed to identify how do we get another next level competition. Yeah. We then had the North-South competition. And then we sat down and we said, you know what, how do we now, from a succession planning point of view, get enough players within various skill sets to ensure that we address the need of the national team? Yeah. Unfortunately, our approach had to be immediate about top-down. And then dependent on the next 4 years to see how we can transition the cricket from a provincial point of view. So a lot of thought process went into it. And I think we spoke to the players bought into it, especially the senior players. Today, most of them are still around,
Yeah.
and that's good to see. We're probably going to have an exit of them over the next few years because age, obviously the bodies, the amount of taxing at the moment, the amount of cricket they're playing across the world in all these leagues and for South Africa. So I think there is a great opportunity now with SA Under 19, also the WSL, to and try and bridge that gap where we can get the players consistently playing strength versus strength cricket.
That's excellent. And I want to ask you actually about some of the journeys that these women face, because we know that it's not paid in every single province. Only certain provinces pay for this, and women are playing this out of passion of the game. So can you just put some emphasis on that, and what has amazed you by their attitude specifically?
Well, I think that is what we rely on because at the moment, like you correctly said, we've only got 30 semi-pro cricketers, we've got 15 national contracts, and we've got 10 high-performance contracts. So that gives you a general base of players that are remunerated for their cricket. And when you look at only the top 6 have 5 provincial contracts, it's still dependent on them to drive a lot on passion. And when you speak to these players, they all want to represent the country, and they will do anything to play cricket and to ensure that they meet their goal one day. So, and I think a lot of these type of discussions with these players is key. And we would like to see Cricket South Africa. They've done a massive amount of work in women's cricket in the past few years. And hats off to so many people at CSA for their restructure and rethinking of how they drive women's cricket. But I think there's the next step now to ensure that we have more players semi-professionalized or professionalize the sport at either provincial or franchise level, how they see it best. But I think the next 4 years is going to be key for us to 2025 and beyond to 2027. Every year there's a World Cup, under 19 and Women's World Cups every year until 2027. And I think that is great for our game, and the more cricket we play, the better. And I think that is how we'll close the gap with the rest of the world.
That's excellent. I actually didn't know that that's what was going to take place. Now, I've said it a lot on this channel, and we try to, I do try to protect you guys. The Convenor of Selectors is probably one of the hardest jobs in world cricket. So, just talk to me about some of the challenges that you face as a convener, and talk to me a little bit about this under 19 team and what has stood out to you about them, including the coach.
Well, for me, the selection job, I think you're driven by passion. I've been involved in the women's game for quite a few years, and the key thing for us is honesty and transparency. If you're not honest with the players, you'll find yourself in difficult moments. Just recently, we had one-on-one discussions in the past week with the national contracted players, and you pick up in those discussions that just try and be honest. Let me know where I stand in the system, and I'll work hard to get back in the game. It's very difficult because at the end of the day, as I mentioned to everybody, you can only field 11 players. And when we field 11 players and we make strategic decisions, that is what we believe and the coach believes is the best playing 11. And there's nothing sinister against any one of them. It's purely how we see the game panning out and the best skill set and balance of the team. When you speak about the under-19s, this was my first opportunity with the under-19s. Last week when I had to make the call the night before I announced the team, I had to call the players that didn't make it. Wow. Emotion. A lot of emotion. I needed to call strategic people in the country to also make contact with the players so we can just keep them sane in preparation for WSL. But I think the important, and you can see the passion, the drive in these players that they want to do well. What I do like about the under-19 team is that there are various of those players that will play a second World Cup. Sure. And that is how we looked at the squad to say that because these players are not necessarily experienced at under-19 level, for this first World Cup now we're looking at taking it as deep as possible and giving the girls opportunity to experience what is out there. But then, the next World Cup, if you still have 6 players that qualifies for the next World Cup, your core of your team is sorted. And then you prepare better for the next World Cup. And that, for me, is the important thing around the SA Under-19 squad. With Denisha, I think she has the drive, she has the passion, she has the know-how. She's also she lives the team at the moment. And for me, it's important. And the one good thing that you can see is a full-on ladies management team. So obviously, the CSA is also trying to transition from a transformation point of view as to where we drive and take women's cricket. But that team, under 19 team, could surprise a few people in WSL and possibly the World Cup.
Can you just give a message to the fans about the WSL, where it will be held, of course, etc., and all the details about them coming to watch the games?
Yeah, so it starts tomorrow, the 11th. And I think the important thing, the 12th. Starts on the 12th. We've got 3 games a day. We had to revise the time slots because of load shedding. And we didn't want to lose any games at the back end to play under lights because we were going to play under lights the last game. So we've revised the time slots to ensure that we end the games before the need of lights. And then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we have a break, Thursday, Friday. And the good thing about this is a lot of players that's on show at the moment that's going to showcase their talent. So I'm encourage people to come through, support the young players, and especially start living and building up to the Women's World Cup and Under-19 World Cup. This young group of players in the SA Under-19 squad is going to need all the support from the outside. And I hope that the people that are going to come through support these players. So when we get to the Women's World Cup, the culture of women's cricket is set within our province so that we can have a massive support base when the World Cup starts.
That's brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I hope you can come on again.
Oh yeah, anytime.
Making friends with the selectors here, guys. Thank you very much. So I'm here with the S19 captain. I'm so excited because it's the first time she's on the platform. So first and foremost, I would like you to just introduce yourself, say what type of cricketer you are, etc.
My name's Oluhle Sio. I'm playing for SA Under-19 at the moment. I'm a batting all-rounder, so yeah, I specialise in batting. Yeah.
So let's talk about your journey first and foremost. How did you get into cricket? How were you introduced to cricket?
I actually started playing cricket when I was younger, in grade 4. I saw a few mates playing during school at break, and I was like, oh, I want to join. Like, where are you guys going after school for cricket practice? And then after that, I just started playing cricket, and it was the best decision I've made.
Yeah. Did you pick up the bat or the ball first? How did that come around?
I actually picked up the ball first.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, at my first Under-19 week. My first Under-13 week, I picked up the ball. So yeah, and then from there I started batting the following year.
Okay, excellent. So with regards to this WSL that's happening, have you ever played in it yet, or is this the first time you're playing in it?
This is actually my first time playing in the WSL. Yeah.
That's excellent. Are you excited?
Very excited, very excited. Good competition, so I'm so keen to see how the girls are going to match up to the best in the country.
So when it comes to the Under-19 World Cup, I mean, you obviously have to captain a team over here. What's your mindset going into this tournament? What sort of conversations have you had with the coaches and the people around the team?
We have our own benchmarks as a team. We're not sure what we're going into. We don't know much about our opponents. But we've got our own benchmarks that we've set for ourselves: batting, bowling, fielding, and we're just sticking to our strengths and our benchmarks. We're not really too focused on what's going on around us. We're just there to play our game and play our game well.
So I want you to give some advice to the younger girls. I mean, you're very young yourself, but for them to get into cricket and to follow this dream, because I just spoke to the convener as well. We were chatting about how women's cricket is on the rise, but what's happening is that you guys are playing for free almost, because it's dependable on where you play. So it's all about the passion. Where the men get salaries if they're playing Division 2 or Division 1, wherever it is. So how do you drive that motivation in a young girl that's watching you guys play on a regular basis?
Firstly, playing cricket as a young girl can be very tough. For me, I started playing with boys, but I feel like that's what helped me in terms of like my mentality, my mental strength. That was a really important factor. But yeah, I feel like in terms of cricket with women, it's been improving and getting better year by year. Big increases in the support and the support systems and the pipelines that I've seen from when I started playing cricket. So there's really big improvements, and there's a lot of things in the works to make it even better and improve the pipeline in cricket for younger girls. So I think that whatever opportunity that these young girls get, they must take it, because they will be looked after by CSA.
Have you met any of your heroes yet? And what did they tell you?
I just met Annika Bosch. I honestly, she's one of my heroes. I look up to her. That's the type of all-rounder that I want to be. She just performs all times in both aspects. So it's really cool to see her. She said congrats to me, gave me a hug. So that was a really big moment. Got to sit next to Danae on the stage and shake her hand. That was also a cool moment. And just being around all of these players like Sine, I look up to her from a captaining perspective. That's the type of captain that I want to be. Cool and calm-headed like her. She's always in control of situations, and that's the type of captain I'm striving to be.
Excellent. Good luck for the tournament.
Thank you so much, guys.
Madison, welcome back to the show. This is your second time now on the Daily Show. Welcome back. First and foremost, this cap over here, what does it mean to you?
Oh yeah, thank you for having me again. This is an incredible honor, and I don't think there really is a way to put it into words how much it means. I think to all of us, it's just something we've all been working towards for years, and it's just a massive moment in all of our careers. It's just incredible.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the team and coming together, Tanisha coming into the system, and what has she taught you and what has she brought to the system and the culture of the team? Because I always like to know about the culture behind the scenes, what you guys talk about, how you guys are getting along actually in the changing room.
I think one thing about this team is we really haven't had the most time together. We started properly getting together towards the beginning of the year, and I think with saying that, it's one of the most incredible teams I've ever been in. It's crazy how everyone's just clicked. We're like one big family, and I know it's very easy to say that, but that's exactly how it is. Everyone plays for everyone on the field, and everyone's just really good friends with each other. And I think one of the biggest contributing factors to that is Coach D. She's from the beginning. She's valued. She always talks about valuing the player, the person over the player, and that's something that was really driven from the beginning. And just playing a really expressive brand of cricket, allowing everyone to be themselves in their own space. And I think that's really just helped us all come together as a team. Everyone doing their thing and doing what makes them happy on the field, and that's.
So I've been very impressed with the way you've managed your career, coming through the system, playing WSL. We saw you obviously playing WSL already. The WSL is kicking off obviously tomorrow. Talk to some of the players and the fans out there maybe about this tournament and how important it is for women's cricket.
Well, this tournament is amazing. I remember the last time we had it was quite a while ago. I think it was 2020. It was the peak of COVID. Things were very uncertain, and it felt like cricket wasn't really going to get kick-started again. And I think this tournament played a very big role in everyone just getting back into it, and everyone starting to, think women's cricket is really taking off despite all the things that have happened with COVID and everything. And I think this is a massive tournament, for women's cricket. Everyone really enjoys it. It's an incredible honor for everyone. We're playing amongst the best of the best in the country, and the vibe around all the teams is amazing, and it's like nothing else. The national weeks and all of that, they're amazing, but this is just a complete different level.
That's true. Now I just need you to give some advice to some of the youngsters on how to motivate themselves to play cricket, because for women in South Africa it's very difficult to play cricket because there's no money to motivate you necessarily. So can you give me some insight to maybe a young girl out there or a young Madison out there that can, what kind of sort of advice would you give though?
I think, as a young girl coming into the game, passion plays a very big role in your career and how things unfold for you. And I think if you have your passion for the game as your driving force and building yourself as a cricketer, and just always remembering your love for the game, nothing will be able to stop you.
That's a brilliant way to end it. Thanks a lot. I'll chat to you very soon.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Guys, I'm so happy to bring Tanisha back to the show again. You've been on a couple of daily shows, but how are you feeling? It's been a long time since we caught up.
Yeah, no, I was thinking you've been neglecting me and the girls. But I know you've been busy and doing amazing things in the cricketing front. It's been quite a journey from the last time we spoke. A lot of my focus into this under-19 squad preparation, selecting the final 15, and ultimately you preparing teenage girls for a World Cup on a world stage. So I don't think it's been an easy journey, but I will tell you it has been uplifting. It has been so humbling. It's such a humbling experience to work with girls that sort of don't know anything else but just playing cricket. So there's times where we had to make them stop training because we had to go to workloads and how they manage themselves. I think all in all, I think it's been quite a journey. It's been a humbling experience, and hopefully we can use the WSL and the India series as good preparation leading up into that World Cup.
Excellent. I think you should give people maybe a little bit of an understanding of when this journey started.
Okay, that's true. Let me think back. So obviously our prep started at under 19 National Week last year in December, and we got a group of 56 players, and we thought, how are we going to prepare a team for a World Cup that's happening in less than a year? So finally we got to the nitty-gritties of it. We got all 56 down at the COE we further trimmed that down to 24. I've worked with the 24 for about 4 to 5 months. And then the last 3 to 4 months I had the squad of 18, and I worked with them right up until it came to final selection, and that was a tough pill to swallow. I think anyone that we left out would have been really sore in terms of the decisions we made. But yeah, and then now we got to the final 15 that'll partake in obviously the WSL in the India series and hopefully bring us a World Cup.
How do you manage that emotions? I mean, when you hear, I mean, Clinton spoke to me earlier on about it, and he said girls were heartbroken when they weren't selected for the side. How do you manage that emotions for the future and to make sure that they are still within the system, because they are,
Yeah.
so to keep them still happy?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and the best way I know how to answer that is with care. You know, at the end of the day, this players wants to be understood and they want to be heard, and I think that's the first and utmost thing. So whether you disagree with how they go about things or anything like that, I think understand their feelings is really important, and also the main thing is bring them back to the present. We've got a lot of cricket coming up. There could be injuries, touch wood, there isn't. You know, they in the likes to replace those girls in the squad. And to be honest, we've been working really hard for a year, and we've grown immensely as a unit. And I keep telling the girls that's out and in the squad, imagine if we work like this for a few more years. Do you know where our crickets will be? And I think once a year statements like that, they'll be like, okay, this is just an obstacle for now. It hurts, but you know what? I'm still part of this journey, and I want to do my best. And hopefully that sort of attitude still keeps him in the system and want to do well.
So I was speaking to the S19 captain, and while I was speaking to her, it's almost a spitting image of the things that you say and what you've been telling me for so many years. She's so mature, the way she speaks, etc., and the way she thinks about cricket. Can you talk to me about that selection process, picking your captain and picking your vice captain?
Yeah, look, it's when you're working with the under-19 group, remember they haven't played as much cricket, so we can say that, look, we've seen how she captains a year, she has a captain's year, but what we looked for, and she's exactly right in what she said in terms of her calmness, and I think the ability that she has with the team to influence herself and the decisions made in terms of our vision and where we want to go is remarkable. And I think that's an outstanding trait for a captain to have. And I'm so glad that we found that in a under-19, one of the under-19 athletes. And look, she's a great thinker of the game. I love that we both challenge each other. We want to see the game change, and we want to see it change in different ways. But I promise you, when we leave that room, we both feel really refreshed. And then we take the team forward. So she's a real pleasure to work with, and yeah, I think good leadership skills.
And lastly, just the importance of the WSL to these young cricketers, because I mean, having the under-19 team in it is an excellent thing. We've obviously seen it from the men's side, they've gotten opportunities to play in knockout competitions, etc. So what does this mean for the women's, the future of women's cricket, etc., and the WSL, the importance to keeping women's cricket at the standard that it is and improving?
Yeah, look, it's massive. It's really massive, and I'll just mention a few for now. So we always say as coaches, international cricket's a different level. And to be honest, if you're not exposed to it, if you don't have experience with that, you're never going to know what that level is. And you always feel like you've got to search for something, but you don't really know what it is. But having a platform like this here, like the WSL, is that your international stars are here. So you know exactly how they apply the game, the areas they look to access, how they construct overs. And I'm hoping that my under-19s catch wind of that there, and they'll come back into my room and say, Coach, I want to learn how to do this, but with my skill sets. Because I also tell the girls it's good to have role models, and it's good to have people to look up to, but you've got to own yourself as a cricketer and as a brand first. And whatever that is, we can take it to new heights.
Brilliant. I think there's a lot that the men's team can learn from this, exactly. So I always enjoy speaking to you, Dinesh. I hope we catch up very soon.